Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I'm Peter. That is a very drunk Connor, and we are going to talk about Arrow Season 5, Episode 3. It's called A Matter of Trust. Full spoilers for the episode, as always.
Episode 3? I genuinely thought this was episode 2.
Episode 3. There's been two so far before this, yes.
Wow. I must have been really drunk one of those weeks.
Yeah, very lately. So, this was an episode about basically Oliver struggling to be the leader of a team on two fronts. One being, of course, is Green Arrow, where he's got this new team with Wild Dog, Mr. Terrific, who we actually get to see in costume as Mr. Terrific in this episode.
And credit where it's due, it's not bad.
Well, Mr. Terrific, that's fair. It's funny though, he always looked bulkier in the comics, you know?
You know what? They keep referencing the fact that he's an Olympian in this, or he was an Olympian, and I feel like the comics Mr. Terrific, I buy. Yeah, he could have been an Olympian. This guy, not so much.
Well, I don't know. You can get slender Olympians. It depends what
You can, but it's not just that he's slender; it's that he doesn't look athletic at all.
That's well true, but we don't know what Olympic sport he was engaging in.
That's a good point, actually. I'll give you that.
He could have been he could have been throwing the shot put or something. I don't know.
No, you need muscles with shot put.
Okay,
Could have
sure.
been ping pong.
But yeah, it could have been ping pong. He could have been playing ping pong in the Olympics. There you go. But no, so Oliver's struggling with them, and he doesn't trust Wild Dog, and Wild Dog ends up accidentally turning the wrestler formerly known as Stardust, which, by the way, that's why they named his drug after him, and he turns into a sort of unkillable undead guy after he falls in a pool of drugs.
And he doesn't feel pain. I think that's quite important.
He doesn't feel pain. Yes, that's the other bit. And I think actually that's probably one of my first big complaints. Actually, is the scene where Wild Dog and I forget the girl's name.
Evelyn?
Evelyn. That's
or Megan. Right. It's one of the two.
It's like anything alike, but sure.
I don't know why I'm going between them. It's either or.
Evelyn sounds right. But so they go to the warehouse because Wild Dog, against Oliver's orders, thinks that he knows where they are.
And he does. It's not thinks. He does know where they are.
And a fight ensues between the two of them and the mobsters. And I thought this fight scene was very awkwardly paced and oddly lacking energy.
Yeah, it was, because it kind of just starts for a start, just to start with. They kind of just drop in and it's like, oh, we're fighting now. It's like a really almost delayed start.
Yeah, no one even says who are you or says it. They just shooting just starts immediately.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that was. And yeah, it ends the way it ends, and we end up with, and Oliver's pissed because Wild Dog, didn't listen to him. I mean,
I'd be pissed if I were him.
Yeah, but of course he eventually has Felicity explain to him why his leadership's not working very well.
Of course he does.
And he changes his mind and apologises to him and gets the team ready to go and deal with the case. And there was one good moment in the last fight scene though. Oliver shoots an arrow into a Stardust guy, and it's got a rope on it, and he pulls him up and jumps down at the same time, and in slow motion they come towards each other. I actually thought it was a pretty good shot. So,
because we were watching it together, and I'm kind of drunk. I was like, you know what, that seemed kind of cool, but I wasn't sure if it was just me. But turns out no, it actually was pretty good looking.
It was a good shot, and an episode in a show where it's not had a lot of impressive moments recently, that was kind of okay. That was good. So
yeah,
fair play to that. Although they kind of ruined it a minute later because they have this thing where the whole team's involved, Ragman's involved, the whole team, his whole new team is fighting everyone. And they set an explosive to destroy all the drugs. And they all walk out, and it goes into slow motion as it explodes, except the rest of the team are already off camera, and it's just Oliver, it's just Green Arrow walking in slow motion as the building explodes behind them. And I feel like it just felt weird that it was only him, and it also didn't feel like it was that big a moment. Like, it just...
Do you know what? That's the thing. Like, okay, I agree it doesn't feel like that big a moment. But if you're going to play that cheesy, explosive, slow-mo motion, like explosion, I'm fine with that. But you've got to do it as a team shot.
Yeah, you gotta do it with the whole new team. It just
You got to do
felt
with
really
the
strange.
team walking away from the explosion. And you know what? Even like you say, it didn't really feel earned at that moment. It wasn't a big moment,
Yeah.
but fine if it had been the team.
Now, jumping over to the Diggle plot, which has one thing that I'm going to praise in it. One thing. This entire plot is boring the crap out of me. I do not care. I do not care about him
I
being in
thought that
prison.
was the thing you were praising for a
No, no.
second.
I don't care about him being in prison. I don't care about his soldier buddies turning on him. I don't care about his guilt. I don't
He
care
has a
about.
cool beard.
Sure. But I don't care about any of this plot. Every time it cut to it, I was groaning, just like I do with the flashbacks, which, by the way, were crap again, as they
At
always
least there
are.
wasn't any of those.
No, there wasn't. They felt oddly cut. I think it's because the Diggle scenes almost feel like flashbacks as well, even though they're not.
It is because there was a couple of times I was like, I feel like we're due a flashback, and then it just kind of went to Diggle instead.
Yeah. So yeah, so really hate the plot line, but I will commend them on one thing. So not Deathstroke, Deadshot shows up in the cell, and I was like, this is really coincidental. Why is it just like? Obviously, you're thinking, wait, Deadshot died like 2 seasons ago or whatever it was, and of course, Flashpoint happened on Flash, and they even put it in the previously on in this episode. Now, this is what I want to commend them for, because they put it in the previously on so that when you see Deadshot, especially if you've been watching The Flash and you know that stuff's changed because the timeline's been altered, you're like, oh, this is a change. Oh. And you just take it as that. But then it turns out, of course, that Diggle's been hallucinating and he wasn't really there, and it's just him dealing with his own guilt about his brother, which I kind of have a problem with because it didn't really feel like he had been struggling with it recently.
Yeah, but I like it for the moment of the twist, almost. You know,
Oh, the twist is fine, yeah. The twist works.
but
They actually played us really well because we were expecting Flashpoint changes and they did this.
I think the only reason it was in the previously is because they referenced John Jr. and it's like, okay, we need to put this here so Arrow only viewers know this.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to give them a bit more credit and say they put it in so that we'd specifically think this was a Flashpoint thing.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I was just cautious of giving them credit of something that
I'll
seems smart.
I'll give them credit for that. Right. The rest of the plot I hated. I hated every second of the actual plot.
Yeah.
So
But no, I agree. That was actually a kind of good moment. Like, it was a twist. It did feel effective because we fully just thought, yeah, sure, Flashpoint.
yeah. Although speaking of guilt for things, you actually jokingly at one point said they should call this episode "Delayed Guilt" because Diggle's got delayed guilt for his brother
George.
Felicity.
Sorry, that was really bad.
Yeah.
I don't remember saying that.
You also giggled immensely when Diggle said to his wife, "I want you to stop digging."
I stand by that giggle.
Yes, yes. I just want you to know. I want you to stop digging. Got a chuckle at a corner because it was Diggle that said it. But anyway, so
So,
so Felicity, we've been talking immensely ever since about 2 episodes before the end of last season, where she nuked a town full of 10,000 people. Which, admittedly, yes, it was to avoid millions dying in the other city, but. And that's not really my complaint. I get the decision. The decision's fine. I understand it. It's
yeah,
solid.
it's a greater good standard. You know,
Yes,
we've seen it
yeah.
1,000 times. That's fine.
Makes complete sense. But within like 10 minutes of the next episode, she seemed to not even care that she'd done this, and she was cracking the same jokes she always does. So it filled me with great pleasure in this, even though it's stupid that it's taken her this long to show. Because she'd not even shown a hint of remorse about it for ages. Like, since it. Maybe the scene after it happened, sure, but it just happened.
It's been maybe, what, 4 to 6 episodes? I mean, I'm guessing 4 to 6 episodes, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
And so, Ragman, of course, is from the town, and his family all died in this nuclear blast. And Felicity, of course, starts to feel guilt and starts to cry. And this is a big problem here, actually, is I don't think Emily Bett Rickards can actually do the emotion stuff.
Do you know what? I used to think she was kind of alright. Because she can really do the quirky, fun stuff. She can.
Yeah, she can.
But it's, you know, that moment where she's talking to Ragman at the end and she's like feeling really guilty. And she's like catching her throat and sobbing.
Yeah.
My God, it's awful.
Yeah, I didn't buy any of that either. And it was really musing that we're finally dealing with this. Even though if you had just killed 10,000 people, even though it was the better option, you'd be mopey about it for a while.
See, my concern, is it too little, too late, or is it just, we should probably address this? I don't know. I don't know if I'm annoyed that they're only just addressing it because it's like I almost feel like if they just ignored it and gone, okay, just forget it ever
Well,
happened,
see,
that'd be better.
see if she'd dealt with it properly at the time and she showed the emotion for like the rest of the season, because I'd buy that it's come the new season she wouldn't be showing it that much because it's been months, right?
Sure.
But for those last couple of episodes in that season, she should have been properly devastated about it, right? And then if a year later she runs into someone who's from there and their parents died there, I get that it would come flooding back. That's fine.
Yeah.
The problem is this isn't even flooding back. It was never flooded in the first place.
Yeah, this is the first time we're dealing with this.
It was bone dry.
Yeah. It's a major issue because they should be dealing with this, but like why now? It feels like it's hang on. You're right, we didn't deal with that. We should probably get that over and done with.
Also, Oliver's suddenly saying you have failed this city to people again. Because that was a big popular thing in season 1, so we have to do it again now to win people back.
This is the season 1 again season, right? Like,
well, they're trying to kind of make it feel like that, but
okay, quality's not there, but everything they're actually doing is just season 1. Like, we're kind of building a team. We're doing the kind of a kill list. We're going, yeah, you failed the city.
yeah, he's ducking away from security teams that don't know where he is.
It's very season 1.
Yeah, and there was some small moments that I did get a chuckle out of. I think the line "Gary Busey, man, that guy can act," is one of the best lines of dialogue I have ever heard in anything ever.
I'm pretty sure it's the single best line Arrow has ever had. I'm like 90% sure of that.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes, or I should call him Cody Runnels, which is his real name, I believe, which he's going by now. But you wouldn't know any of this, but he went by Cody Rhodes when he was wrestling, but Runnels was his dad's name, so I
Did
assume
he
that's...
stop wrestling?
He did, he stopped last year. Or early this year.
I don't follow wrestling. Pete does.
Yeah. But yeah, he was fine. He was just like your typical grunt.
Do you know what? If I hadn't known he was wrestling, I'd just think he was a standard, filler of the week. No different to usual, which I think maybe the majority of people would probably see it that way. I don't know how many people watch wrestling.
No, I think so. I think that sounds about right. Speaking of references to other things, obviously his drugs were called Stardust. Stephen Amell, of course, did play Casey Jones in the last Turtles movie, so there was a little quip about him liking the hockey mask as a mask for a vigilante.
I'm torn because I kind of like that he's like, yeah, I'm down for Casey in Turtles because like Turtles, but then he's referencing Bay movies, so.
Yes, it's such a conflict. Of course, the other big plot of the episode, I say big, is Thea screws up because Oliver's not happy that she's made Lance deputy mayor. And she ends up going to a journalist who's run an awful story on TV about, Lance, and says, oh yeah, he didn't know, that was me. And you could see it coming. You knew exactly what she was going to do with this information. She was going to spin it out to be, oh, he can't keep control of his own team. I think asleep at the wheel, I believe, was the phrase that was used on the TV broadcast, and it all just builds up to Oliver giving a speech that doubles as both mayor and Green Arrow, where he's like, yes, the buck stops with me. I believe in my team. I trust my team. And he introduces Lance as deputy mayor and shakes his hand. And
the thing is, as a political thing, I kind of like that speech. Like him saying, I picked this team. I trust them to make their decisions. On Thea's perspective, that really resonates with me personally. He's gone, this is the team I have chosen. They can do their job without me needing to oversee their every move.
That's not my problem with it, though.
No, it's the Arrow side of things where I go, this doesn't feel earned at all.
It doesn't, because I'm not entirely convinced why he's trusting half of these people yet.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm really torn, because one side of it, I buy that he trusts Thea. I mean, for starters, his sister, and he's known her his whole life.
It was like last week when he unmasked and showed them who he was. I'm like, wait, okay, one of these people was a villain last season. The other one is just, quite frankly, a really sort of hot-headed loudmouth who wants to shoot people. Like,
One of them was a villain earlier this episode.
yeah, exactly. Aye. So I'm like, why are we jumping to this level of trust? It doesn't feel earned, it feels rushed, so they can actually build the team working together much earlier than it feels natural. And the thing is that you can make really compelling stories out of them building trust with each other. And it feels like they're ignoring all that and just doing it in, like, because the whole thing with Wild Dog this episode is he just kind of, until Felicity comes in and tells him he did something wrong, all that really happens is he gets angry at him, he then gets angry at him again, and it just feels like they're going in circles. And it doesn't feel like Wild Dog even reacts to it or changes. He just keeps getting angrier too. It's just that they're both so one note, and it just doesn't change.
I get it. The thing is, I kind of get Wild Dog's side. He's like, I know what I'm doing. He's been doing, I mean, maybe not as effectively, but he's been doing this a bit because we saw that at the start. And he clearly is right. He knew where the guy was, but trust still doesn't feel earned either. It's like maybe just go, maybe I should listen to you every so often.
None of it feels earned. It's just, bleh.
It's really not.
So no, I really, I mean, is it better than the worst of last season? Sure, like, because at its worst last season was so abysmally bad and laughable that it was a laughing stock, whereas this season so far is just it's kind of there with like the season 3 stuff, where it's just kind of like,
First half of season 3, yeah.
This is just kind of sucky, and
I feel like this is probably the worst of the 3 episodes, though.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, we're on a slope.
Yeah, that's my concern.
Which is funny,
like,
because
please don't let us be a slope.
Because Flash is doing the opposite. Flash is actually like on a uphill slope.
Yeah, every episode of Flash so far we've gone, this is better.
Yeah.
I feel like 2 and 1 were, relatively similar. But this does feel like a noticeable step down.
Yeah. And obviously we meet the new DA, which, so either the DA or Felicity's boyfriend are the villain, Prometheus. One of them.
Well, they're the only new characters, so
exactly.
Sure.
Unless they completely flip us and it ends up being one of the team, but I doubt it.
I'd almost appreciate that, though. Like, it would be more interesting than just going, oh, it's the new guy.
I mean, hell, did the DA even give us a motive? Oliver stole his girlfriend.
That's true. I did like the line where Oliver went, oh, I'm sure she went home with a better man. And he's like, well, she went home with you.
Oh, God. I'm going to be honest. Like, the mayor stuff just feels like stock mayor scenes where it's like, okay, here's an issue that a mayor would be talking about. It doesn't feel like there's an actual plot there.
I agree, and that's kind of one of my biggest problems is being a mayor and being socially and politically active is one of the biggest parts of Oliver Queen's history. And it should be treated with greater respect than this, like almost more than the crime fighting stuff, because the crime fighting stuff's aped Batman. I'm kind of okay with that because sure, it's vigilantism. Do what you want on TV. But the political stuff has kind of been Oliver Queen's defining factor for, 40 years?
Yeah, it's a big part of his character, and it just feels like it's nothing here.
Yeah, they're just not doing that justice at all.
Yeah, Arrow's always been like this, though. Everything like else has always felt kind of weirdly, at least certainly in the last couple of seasons. I remember last season when we had the trial of Damien Dark, and we had to believe that Laurel was like in a court, like doing a proper case.
Yeah, when we had, if that had been in season 1 or 2, I probably would have bought it because we didn't see her do any cases, but we saw her doing DA stuff.
Yeah.
It was just kind of, this came out of nowhere.
Whereas all we'd seen of her for the last year before that was just going out and being Black Canary and not really having much dialogue. So I don't know, it's weird. But we're going off track here. So that's episode 3 of Arrow season 5. Let us know what you thought of the episode in the comments below. Are you liking it more than us? If so, why? But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Like and subscribe. It helps us out if you do that. And yeah, we'll see you next time. Thanks for watching, guys. Goodbye.